Okay, so if you're watching this video, well, this video is going to show how to defeat Miguel. Um, it's not necessarily going to matter what color you pick, but if you start as black, you it will be harder. It will be harder for sure. Um, I If I haven't been uploading videos, it's because I kind of got a little bit burned out on chess. I had some losses, and it just, it was just reminding me that I need to study chess more. And going into this, I was like telling myself, like, Daniel, listen, you've never beaten the strongest bot you've ever beaten was the 1600. You're going to the 1900 bot. You're going to get destroyed and stuff. But, I had like this, not like mania, but like just this crazy confidence, like just this moment of ballsiness where I was just like, no, um, I can totally beat this bot and stuff at the same time. I was telling myself when we were like, Daniel, you're just being arrogant. You don't know enough about chess. You still need to finish studying and stuff. But I made it through in the end with with having incomplete knowledge. I picked up some new concepts that I'm gonna look into. Like I'm a little bit foggy on X-rays and some other things. But yeah, as you can see, there's a lot of things that go into chess. I'm hoping it all reduces down. So yeah, going into the game, I of course start with d4. Over here, I just wanted to get away from preconceived notions. Reason being is that, well, when it comes to openings, I know what the fuck I'm talking about. I played a 4,000 opening in this game. That certifies everything I say. But on a more serious note, it doesn't really cap at 4,000. Once chess is really solved 100% by either Stockfish or Leela or Google's DeepMind or AlphaZero or any one of the top chess programs, it's a wrap. The strongest opening is going to be tied to the strongest lines of play, period, for all possibilities. Which is as many atoms as there are in the universe. Not exaggerating too much. Because obviously, chess comes into patterns and stuff. Like for example, like if you have black or white and they're clammed up and some of the pieces together, it is inevitable that that player should be, bringing out pieces and stuff because it can't go anywhere else. It just, the flow of piece energy follows patterns and stuff. And well, what's energy? Well, the energy level of a piece is a way of gauging how much that piece is being forced and stuff. So, for example, if you have like your pawn threatening a queen, that's quite a bit of force in itself because player loses that queen, they're losing a lot of material. And if you're somewhere between a middle game and an end game where a lot of pieces are off the board, you probably want to save the queen unless you're like forced mate in two or something like that. So yeah, and yeah, so I left preconceived notions out there. I was lucky enough to get white, so yeah, maybe if I started off with black, I would have lost. I don't know. I know the probability would have been significantly less, but yeah, and yeah, my middle game has improved. I'm seeing my middle games consistently stay over the 2400. So I fixed my middle games, which I think has created good setup for my end games too. So my end games have been getting better too. So yeah. Now, what I think happened in this game is that Miguel wasted moves and he hanging pieces. And, his description says he's a universal player and he's well-rounded, focusing on middle game, end games, and tactics. The chess.com describes him interchangeably as, just a totally all-powerful player and stuff, rated at 1900. And it's like, well, how the Miguel bot seemed to take that is they try to do so many things at once that were not agreeing with each other. Kind of comes down to it, like, you must keep to the grounds of your ideas. That's not directly taught by Jeremy Silman, but it was a realization I had, because he talks about, like, whatever in his book The Amateur's Mind, it says whatever plan you must have or conclusions you make, it must have grounds and stuff. So grounds are very important, because it's all about calculating the optimal plan and move sequences, right? And branching off into other plans if things go too sideways, because you want to checkmate. You don't want to force a draw when you could have forced a checkmate or something like that. So yeah. But yeah, let's just get into it. We'll get into stats and stuff after this. Just minimize that. So d4 is met with c5, and at this point, I'm almost laughing. All he had to do was try the Sicilian defense Baudelaire attack, and he would have had a very strong game going. But he didn't do that. He went for the old Benoni. Which wastes a move, because you have knight f3 and stuff. It's an empty threat, because if that pawn takes, well, the knight comes in there and stuff. It's not like any other pieces can really back it up. He would have to move his e7 pawn to e5 to back off my knight, or develop for his queen, which is very slow. And and he's opening his king up if he moves his e7 pawn. So yeah, so it turned into the ready opening Sicilian. Not important. Memorized lines are not important. Memorized lines make chess into a very time-consuming game to learn how to really play. So yeah. It's all about your mastery of the concepts and how you interweave them together, and how you pick what are generally stronger concepts and how you apply those concepts in context to optimize their power. That's how you dominate your opponent. And that's all you need to. You just need to dominate your opponent for that game, and then do that for the next game and the next game and stuff. You're generally doing the same thing. I think Paul Murphy understood this better than anyone else in his time. Just limited by the scope of recorded history. I'm sure there was plenty of other players that were better than him. Here he's not controlling as many squares as me. Granted, moving the queen is not necessarily the best thing to do. Let's go to queen d3 and queen d3. Yeah, inaccuracy. It should have been something like, this is certainly valid. It's less bad. That'd be an improvement. And so then you also develop the bishop too. That's an option here. G3 is also a mistake, really. Wow. I go cat. E4, really. Basically giving that knight a free tempo to advance, but it'll hang at the same time, which is exploitable, I guess. Yeah, okay, I guess it's just safe. I just didn't want to open up my king when I didn't need to. I really didn't need to. That's the thing. There's no grounds that was saying I needed to do it. and it really wasn't in the realm of possibility. E5, knight f5, d5. I'll just scroll the moves. I could scroll through the moves over here. So we're going to generally go over what generally happened in this game. Okay. Let's take materials early. So just the opening. The opponent tries to save the knight to preserve material because they're being eaten up and stuff. So yeah, white is being very controlling here. White is really forcing black around. Okay, so through controlling and force and not blundering pieces and calculating tactics and being safe and saving material, I won. I know I was saving. I wasn't dropping pieces either, meaning I was, which basically means I was moving my knight. I think it was this knight right here. No, there was another knight. I know I had two at some point. I migrated one of my knights around in a way Magnus Carlsen would do it. This is actually something I learned from watching one of Magnus Carlsen's games. He migrates his pieces around without losing material, but it recombinates into another very energizing approach and stuff. Kind of broke away from thinking about the center versus the wings into just spatial control too. That didn't really impact me too much. At this point, the game could have gone sideways. I could have blundered, but I didn't. Because it's all this forcing sequence. You know, getting spatial control over his king while his bishop, knight, and rooks really aren't doing much. The rooks don't even see each other. He didn't develop. He wasted his opening, so any developing he does at this point is pretty much meaningless, or just much less impactful because it's a middle game or an end game. Yeah, you should really do all your development in the opening. You know, since the enemy's pieces are on the other side of the fucking board. I mean, I don't understand. You know, Miguel's a 1900 bot. I don't understand why he didn't get this. But yeah, so 1900 plays a 3300. Wow. What a casino mechanism. Elo performance 3685. And then what's wow. I didn't even play as high of a rating as him. And anyway, 77% domination. Yeah, I pretty much solved this game. I understood this game perfectly. For 77% domination with extreme piece activity, moderate narrowness, very high exchange distance. Whoa. Yeah, balance of material is more important than whether you're saving pieces or not, or whether you're taking and the opponent's not taking from you or whatever. It's balance. You got to keep good balanced material. Even played more accurately too. Guess the accuracy didn't save him either. It all comes down to attention and knowledge and stuff. The more knowledge you have of the game and more attention you have, you know, the more you're getting from the flow of information, and you know, then you can't be touched. So it's all about, you know, balanced material, you know, and other imbalances don't matter as much as balance of information. I'll tell you that. They just don't. Because if you keep that from the get, it's a lockout. Your opponent can't do anything. So made some rookie moves here. Should be 8-4. Yeah, 745. Oh wait, no, that was me. I made that. This is where. Oh, wow. Okay, let's just go back to 200. 200 moves there. Wow, he pretty much played perfectly the whole time. Wow. And then I made 1920 move is such a horrible move according to this computer. It's so stupid. How are you going to throw away decades of chess research and trial and error and stuff? Arrogant. So arrogant and stupid. No wonder Stockfish 17 had to come out. I didn't even put Stockfish 17 on this. What's called? I'm still running Stockfish 16 cranked to max. Like it's... Anyway. Okay, so yeah, that was the game. And, I guess to describe the didn't really cover the end game too much. Going to the end game, I walked up as king to the other side of the board and walled it in. So I used one of my queens as a mating net, and mating net is one of the recurring patterns in chess. Yep, this pretty much starts the walk up, I think. Check here. I'd already stopped this pawn. I had to keep a balanced material that favored me, right? So he would have, I think the computer would have ruled it as a draw or a stalemate or something, possibly. You know, I could have been screwed as well. So I just stopped his pawn and started forcing his king to the other side of the board. You know, if you can master the energy of a game, you know, you can really devour an opponent. And that's the point. You have to have the sense of the energy of the game from your pieces to other pieces, and need to keep the balance of energy. And your energy has to be lethal. You know, it can be said that these queens are giving energy to the king to move up on the other side of the board, because it's by the rules. It's the king is forced to move up on the other side of the board. So yeah, just walk and walk and walk, and that was the checkmate. I didn't need to. I don't think I. Yeah, this is my first try in Miguel too. So I think my understanding of this game is correct. If he chose a Sicilian boulder attack or something like that, or something stronger, then it'd be much harder to understand. Because those are contingent on like 50, 60 moves ahead in a whole sea of possibilities. It gets wild. But yeah, so that's how you beat Miguel. He's a 1900 bot. He's an advanced bot. And yeah, that's all needs to be said.